Hey, good morning, Math 7 students. Today, you're doing a kind of not very difficult. It will not take you a whole lot of time, but you may want to have your answers checked just because there's something a little tricky in it. It's called one-step inequalities, and I've got three examples here. So each one, if you remember to kind of treat this like an equal sign, it'll go very well. So right now, you'll notice that 10 is being subtracted from x. So what's the opposite of subtract 10 from x? It would be to add 10 to x. So in order to cancel this from this side, we're going to add 10. When we add 10 to this side, we must add 10 to this side, correct? When we add 10 to negative 3, what do you get? You get 7. So you get 7 is less than x. Notice that the inequality sign stayed the same here. Okay, I've been preaching that for a little while, but now I want you to watch closely with something. Okay, notice on this one, we just have a negative x is less than negative 29. I want you to look at something. I'm going to show you the answer first here. And I want you to notice something, how this inequality sign switched. And here's why. In order to get rid of a negative x, which is really like a negative 1x, we either need to multiply by negative 1 or we need to divide by negative 1. Either way, it will cancel the negative. Okay, multiply by negative 1, a negative times a negative is a positive. Divide by negative 1, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, and that's also why we did the same thing. We multiplied this by negative 1 and we got to a positive 29. But why did this switch? So what happens is, remember that this sign right here is called a negative sign. It's called a subtraction sign, but it's also called an opposite sign, meaning do the opposite. So really, I mean, if you think about it, if x was 3, this tells you to do the opposite of 3, which would be negative 3. So it's called the opposite sign. Well, whenever you multiply or divide by this, you're really multiplying the entire equation by it. And notice that when I highlighted that, I included the inequality sign that's being multiplied by that. So when we multiply a inequality sign by the opposite sign, what is the opposite of less than? And it would be greater than. So anytime we multiply or divide by a negative, we're telling the entire equation to become the opposite of what you are. And that's why it turns from, in this case, a less than sign to a greater than sign. So, with that being said, notice that x is being divided by negative 6. What is the opposite of divide by negative 6? Multiply by negative 6. So I'm going to multiply by negative 6. So the 6's will cancel on this side. Negative 6 times negative 20, two negatives make a positive, and that would be 120. And then because we're multiplying by a negative, or the opposite sign, what will happen to this sign? And hopefully you just thought, oh, that'll become a less than sign. So yep, x is now less than or equal to 120. Again, it's only when you multiply or divide by a negative. It's not when you add or subtract, because when you add or subtract, you add it or subtract it to specific points like this. And when you do that, you skip that sign. So hopefully that makes sense. Good luck to you. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.